Hey, hey, everybody. I got to tell you, the state of fact checking in this country is a real mess. It's like these fact checkers have traded in their diplomas for jester hats and they prance around the court of truth with tall tales, and everybody's like, thanks, but no thanks, bozo. It seems like every time I turn around, there's a new instance of fact checkers getting it wrong. It's like they've taken a vow to confuse and deceive the public, and it's working. People are starting to question the sanity of everything they read and hear, and that's not a good thing. Now, you may be asking yourself, Tom, why are you always so hard on the fact checkers? Well, it's simple, because they're not doing their job. And it's not just me saying that. It's the facts. You could have a politician that's favored by the corporate media say something as ridiculous like, the moon is made of cheese. And the fact checkers probably label it partially true. Yeah, partially true? Are you kidding me? Have you seen any evidence of dairy products on the lunar surface? No. But these fact checkers, they got their own definition of partially. And it's not the same one the rest of us use. This is the kind of thing that happens when you take a claim and interpret it in the most uncharitable way possible. It's like these fact checkers are walking around with a magnifying glass looking for something that could have two meanings instead of trying to understand what the speaker really means. And that's not what fact checking is supposed to be about. The whole point of fact checking is to give people accurate information so they can make an informed decision. But when fact checkers deliberately misinterpret claims, they're not helping anyone except their corporate overlords patting them on the head for propaganda well done. So here's my challenge to the fact checkers. Stop being so uncharitable. Start trying to understand what the speaker really means. Look, there's enough negativity in the world. We need more reality, not more lies. My name is Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee and Nuance Show, the best censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. All right. Glad you were joining me today. I realized when I said flame on, I didn't even have my flame. So let's get that taken care of. We got a great show for you today. And don't let that fool you. It's actually Friday, and I made an error on that slide. Today's February 10th, and we're going to have a Fact Check Friday. We're going to be talking about a certain election down in the Southwest. And I will, again, abide by all the rules put on me by the overlords. I guess I need more fuel for the flame. No flame today, I guess. But we're also going to talk about sugar in school lunches. Starlink has made a change with what they're doing in Ukraine. Movie theater screens. What exactly is a movie theater screen? By definition, because they're changing that up a bit. And lastly, for some good news, and maybe the conspiracies are true, there are things that can be done to make our blood young again. And now they don't involve using the blood of young people. Now there's another way, and I want to tell you all about that. So that is a good story. Remember, if you are not watching this live, because most people that watch this will watch the replay, in the description, I will have all of the stories. And if I'm talking about something you don't care about and you want to go to the next story, you can just click on the next story and it'll automatically advance. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could do that on the regular news? They're doing a story and you're like, I've heard about this already. Click and just go to the next story. That'd be great. But you can actually do it on these videos because I timestamp every single story. And if you stick around to the end, the after show, I will be addressing all the comments that are made in the live stream. So that's great. Let us first go to, let's let's do a fact check. And before I start, I want to be sure that the overlords hear this nice and clear. There is zero evidence of widespread fraud, errors, or glitches that would change the outcome of any past U.S. presidential election or any election ever. I added that part, and I stand by it. There's no evidence that any election ever has had any widespread fraud, any errors, or any glitches that would have changed the outcome. So I just want to be clear that that is my personal take, and that's the only point of view that I'm putting forth in this video. Okay? Is that good enough? Is that good enough? Okay. All right, so let's get to the story here. This is the claim that this is from USA Today, and they made a claim about the Arizona election, okay? Now, the claim, the headline, let's look at the headline. I don't have the headline up, but it says, fact check, Kari Lake falsely claims that nearly 250,000 voting attempts failed in midterms. So that's the headline. And the claim, nearly 250,000 voting attempts failed in Arizona midterm election. Now, what I talked about in the opening was what's really important is we need to be charitable in what someone is claiming and not just change the definition of what they're claiming. So let's read this article and let's see what we find out. It says, a January 23rd Instagram post from former Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake shows a claim about purported election fraud in the 2022 midterms. Quote, officials sabotaged election day, the caption read. On November 8th, when 75% of votes were for Kari Lake, nearly 250,000 voting attempts failed, according to the system log files that were obtained via Freedom of Information Act. The post generated nearly 43,000 likes in less than 1 week. Lake shared the same claim on Twitter, where it accumulated over 22,000 likes. Okay, well, let's take a look at that claim. Now, if you go to the Instagram of this, you will see on the left here, you get this blurred out thing that says false information reviewed by independent fact checkers. See why. But you can actually click in to see the post. And this is the post that the fact check is based on here. It says, breaking in Arizona on November 8th, 2022, ballots were rejected nearly 250,000 times. So what does that mean, that ballots were rejected? Is the claim that 250,000 ballots didn't count? That's not the claim. Kari Lake here is saying that the ballots were rejected. Well, what would that mean, ballots being rejected? Well, I have the director of the elections in Arizona, so let's check out what they say about that. This is a short video clip, and he's going to explain what this rejection means.
We did want to come out and discuss one issue that's going on out there in about 20% of the vote centers. Again, we have 223 vote centers across the county. In about 20% of those, when people will go and they try and run the ballot through this tabulator, maybe 1 out of every 5 or so of those ballots, they're not going through. But this is something we've prepared for. We have a redundancy. The ballot will not go through this tabulator. And by the way, those ballots that go through this tabulator, they go back here in the machine. If their ballot's not going through the tabulator, then we will ask them to go here at door number 3 and place their ballot into this secure box. Those ballots will remain secure in there all day long, and at the end of voting after 7 p.m., when everything is completed, then these ballots will be taken out securely and delivered by a bipartisan team, so Republican and Democrat, down to here at the Central Tabulation Center where they will be tabulated. And it's going to be brought down here by a bipartisan board, so a Republican and a Democrat, and it will be counted here this evening, so that that vote that goes into number 3 will be reported either tonight or early in the morning.
And while this is obviously...
Okay, well, apparently we're having some audio problems. I heard there was a little feedback. Perhaps it was with my headphones. Ah! Oh, man. I need a tech guy or a tech girl. Probably a tech guy, but I need a tech person here helping me with all this stuff. We'll get it sorted out. But let me tell you what the video said, the director of elections there, whatever his title was. What he was saying was that he said about 20% of the time when people on many machines, people would feed the ballot in to be read. That's how it works in Arizona. You fill out your ballot, you take it to the tabulator, you put it in the machine like you're putting in money to get tokens or something, right? You put it in, and it just rejects it, and it doesn't accept it, okay? And what he was saying is that at that point, if it's not accepted by the tabulator, then they ask you to put it in this other plastic box, and they'll count it later. They're like, it didn't work, but just put it in this plastic bin, and we'll take care of it later. Okay? So that's what the director of elections was saying. That's what the director of elections was saying that they had an issue with. Now we go back to the claim that Kari Lake made, and she said in Arizona, ballots were rejected nearly 250,000 times. Well, she's not saying that those ballots weren't ever counted. That's not the claim. The claim is that people fed their ballot in and it didn't work. And that was about 250,000 times that happened. But let's see what USA Today did in their fact check. They went and they said, our rating is false. The voting logs in question show some ballots had to be scanned multiple times by tabulating machines before they were read properly at the polls. But there's no proof any valid votes weren't counted. Votes that couldn't ultimately be scanned by machines were counted at another location. Yeah. That's what everybody has been saying. And what Kari Lake was saying was that people showed up to vote and the machines didn't work, and they were asked to take their ballot and put it in this big plastic tub, and they were told, we'll get to it later. And that made a lot of people nervous, understandably. If you go and you vote and the machine doesn't seem to be taking your ballot, that can be a hiccup. That can be something that leads to longer lines. I can understand. People are upset. Their ballot's not being accepted, right? And when I say accepted, I mean like at that moment. And they're being told, no, just put it in this bin. Put it in this big plastic bin. We'll count it later. Don't you worry about it. And by doing that, it kind of caused chaos on election day, causing really long lines. Now, one thing that you do when you are fact-checking, if somebody makes a whole bunch of claims, they just do this laundry list of claims, you don't have to dispute every claim. Just pick the first big claim. Okay? That's what I'm doing here today. The claim is that 250,000 voting attempts failed in the midterm elections, which is what Kari Lake said. And they're saying, no, that's not true. Those votes were counted later. Yeah. She never said they weren't counted later. Okay? And to me, this is a deliberate misinterpretation of what the claim was. The claim, it's very clear that ballots were rejected. It didn't say that ballots were disqualified or ballots were not counted. I'm sure if Kari Lake was going to say that 250,000 ballots were not counted, she would have put it in the little meme here that they weren't counted. She didn't make that claim. All she said is that ballots were rejected. They were rejected by the little machine. They were told, hey, put it in this bin, we'll count it later. Caused a lot of chaos on Election Day. And the narrative on Election Day, and this has been going on, is that Democrats, a lot of Democrats would vote early. Republicans were leery of voting early, and so they wanted to show up on Election Day and have their vote counted by the machine in front of them so that they knew that it was counted. And they showed up to do that, and there were all kinds of mistakes. And I'm not going to speculate on why there were mistakes, but there were all kinds of errors on that day. According to the person in charge of the election, he said it was about 20%. And I've seen estimates as high as 25%. But 20% error rate on machines, that's really high. How is that even close to being acceptable? 20% of the time you put it in the machine and it doesn't accept it? That's not good at all. That's not good at all. So let's look at what USA Today did here. They just said that this was false. They said that this was false, and now they've labeled Kari Lake as a person spreading election misinformation because of this claim. The claim couldn't have been clearer to me unless you choose to misinterpret it. Okay? And that's what the fact checker did. She chose to misinterpret it. And I'm going to read minds here, and I'm going to tell you what I think is happening. And we all do this. This is human nature. But if there's someone that we don't like, we hear something about them, and we just assume, we hear something bad about them, we assume that that's true. Okay? And then there's someone that we do like, we hear something about them that might be negative, and then we go, oh, no, that can't be true. We project our own feelings onto who the news is about. And I suspect that some people just don't get a fair shake because there's been so much negative press about them. In this case with Kari Lake, it's very clear to me on this Instagram post, she's not claiming that the votes weren't counted. She's saying that the ballots were rejected. And they were rejected on Election Day at the machine when people were trying to use them. That's it. That's it. And I think I did a good job of making sure that I followed the guidelines for this silly platform I'm on. But we'll find out later if I did that. But what do you think? I want to know if you think that this was a fair fact check by USA Today. I don't think it was. But maybe you see something in it that I don't, which is also possible. Now, they went on to talk about some other things in the story, but I don't think that that's possible. I don't think that that's necessary. Okay? If you make a big claim, and that big claim is BS, if that big claim is based on an uncharitable interpretation, then I don't need to look at the rest. Okay? If you can't get the main thing right, I don't want to hear all the subpoints. I think that's fair. That's a fair way to go about it. And shame on USA Today for putting this out. Because honestly, I think a middle schooler would understand what happened here. So, yeah, shame. Shame, shame, shame. Terrible, terrible fact checking. But, what can you expect? Let's get to something else in the news, and that's school lunch. Okay, sugar in school lunch. All right. The U.S. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack has proposed new nutrition standards for school meals, including the first limits on added sugars, starting with high sugar foods such as sweetened cereals, yogurt, flavored milk, and breakfast pastries. The first limits would be in the 2025-2026 school year. The proposal also calls for a decrease in sodium in the meals served to the nation's school children by 2029. Oh, don't want to start quickly on that one. The goal is to improve nutrition and align with U.S. dietary guidelines. The plan is phased in over the next 6 years to allow schools and manufacturers time to adjust. The 60-day public comment period on the plan opened up this week. So, thinking back to school lunches, I think it's ridiculous. Hey, we want to have less sodium. We'll start in 2029. Oh, for all the kids for the next 6 years. Oh, we're not going to do anything for you. But the thing is, a lot of kids, especially a lot of poor kids, they get a lot of their nutrition from the school lunch. And school lunches are terrible. They're terrible. Now, I know some are kind of interesting. In some high schools, you see they have Taco Bells and Wendy's and all kinds of stuff inside their school. They get pizza delivered and whatnot. But, we're like elementary school kids. They shouldn't be eating all the processed foods. It's really unacceptable. And I think the way that you could solve this would be to hire an actual trained chef at a school. Yeah. They could do some kind of deal with culinary schools. You finish your culinary school, maybe you do 2 years or something working in a school cafeteria, preparing awesome foods for the kids, and in exchange they could pay for tuition for the culinary school or something like that, as in addition to a salary. But that's the problem, is we don't have people making school lunches that know anything about cooking food, right? They're just heating up stuff. They're opening cans. Everything's processed. It's horrible. And so much of the problems that we have is based on our diet, our poor diet. If you want to improve kids doing well in school, I think if they were fed better, I do think that they would probably do better in school. But that's just my take on it. I don't know what you think on that. But the last thing I would ever want to eat would be a school cafeteria meal. Yeah. But let's find out what's happening with Starlink. So SpaceX has taken measures to stop its Starlink satellite communications service from being used to control Ukrainian military drones. The decision was made by the company's chief operating officer because it was not the company's intention to allow Starlink to be used for offensive purposes. This announcement was met with anger from senior Ukrainian presidential advisor who argued that the company failed to recognize Ukraine's right to self-defense. What? Ukraine has been using Starlink to help control its network of surveillance drones due to other internet services being unavailable during the war. The move by SpaceX goes against Western nations who are increasing their military aid to Ukraine. It's unclear what measures SpaceX has taken to curb Ukraine's use of Starlink to control drones. So, I don't even know why. I don't know. It appears to me that Elon seems to be getting wise to the whole Ukraine scam. And I certainly wouldn't want to be providing service for military drones that are used to kill people in war. I can understand him not wanting that. So one of the issues is, are people saying, hey, they're a private company, they can do what they want, right? How much have we heard that over the past couple of years? Well, guess what? They're a private company. They can do what they want. I think anything that can be done to end this thing in Ukraine, I'm in favor of. Anything that will extend the suffering in Ukraine, I am opposed to. I'm a very simple guy. But I do think that Starlink... So Starlink, if you don't know, and I got to do a better job on this, is explaining things that not everyone knows. So probably many of you know, but maybe some of you don't know. I can't read minds. Starlink is a satellite internet service. And there will be a string of satellites going across the sky to provide internet service. Now, it was made to provide internet service for places that didn't have internet service. So you're out in the middle of a farm, right? You don't have Comcast. You can't get your internet through coax cable, out in the middle of a farm. And so you could get Starlink. You would have a satellite receiver, and you could get the satellite service, the internet service that way. And as a side note, I hope to soon have Starlink so that I can have faster upload speeds and I can do a better job with this stream that I'm doing. I had to really turn down the resolution and all that. And I know that occasionally there are dropouts in that. That's because I live in Portland. There's a monopoly in Portland. I can only have Comcast. That's the only service that's available for my house. So there's no fiber optic service or anything like that that's available to me because they made some deal to limit what's available to me. So hopefully I will have a Starlink in the near future, and I'll be able to do faster upload speeds. And one other thing is you can look up and see when Starlink is going to be going through the sky. It's actually really cool. Late at night, I forget what the website is, but you can just search it. You'll find it. And you can see what elevation, what angle in the sky the Starlink will be. And you can look and you can see the satellites, and it'll be like stars in the sky, but it'll be a string of them. And you can just see a string of them moving across the sky at night. It's really cool, although some people don't like that because it's light pollution. But yeah, that's Starlink. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I don't think Elon Musk should be providing technical support for Ukrainian war drones. But that's just me. But let's get to something a little more important. And that's what is a movie theater screen? All right. LG is now making giant LED movie screens to replace projectors in small theaters. They've developed Mira class, right? Mira is look in Spanish, right? To replace projectors in small theaters. Projectors require a high-intensity light source and cooling to operate, which makes them noisy and requires them to be housed in separate rooms. The new LED screens are made of smaller panels featuring edge-to-edge LED pixels, providing 24-bit color and adjustable brightness, and are available in 4 size options. The screens are already available in some theaters in Europe and will soon be installed in theaters worldwide. The cost of the screen has not been disclosed. But is it a movie screen if it's not projected? If it's not being projected, is that a movie? Or are you just at somebody's house? I don't know. I find this kind of, this is just an odd question. But I got a nice big TV. And if I go to the theater and it's just a big TV, well, what's the difference, right? In my head, just because for 100 years or whatever, a movie was projected onto a screen. And if they're no longer projecting it onto a screen, is that a movie? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too technical about it. Perhaps it's offering, good quality to small theaters that were not able to do it before. I don't know. But I would feel kind of weird going in and just watching a big TV. But I don't know. Maybe that's just a hang-up that I have. Let me know what you think about that. I know here in Portland there's a place that's kind of fun, and it's called like living room theaters. But they actually project you, and they have some really nice chairs and couches, and they have wine service and everything. A real bougie, intimate theater. But they still project the movie onto the screen. It's not just a big TV set. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Let me know what you think about that. And now let's get into the big conspiracy world and the positive story of the day. Can we make blood young again? Okay. Researchers at Columbia University in New York have found that an anti-inflammatory drug, anakinra, brand named Kineret, hard word, can rejuvenate the blood system and increase lifespan. The drug, which is already approved to use in rheumatoid arthritis cases, reverse some of the effects of aging on the hematopoietic system, the system responsible for creating all the blood in the body. The team found that the environment in the bone marrow, where the blood-producing stem cells live, becomes overwhelmed with inflammation as a person ages and leads to blood stem cell dysfunction. Anakinra was able to block this and returning aging blood to a younger and healthier state. The team is now studying whether humans would benefit from this treatment instead of young blood transfusions. Ooh. You've heard about young blood transfusions. That's all about the global elites and their trafficking in young children so that they can take take blood and adrenochrome and different things from the kids to have a fountain of youth, right? We've heard those conspiracy stories, not saying that those are true or false, not making any claims about those stories whatsoever. But here we actually have something that could be done instead of taking kids and stealing their blood and pumping it into old people, billionaires. So they don't have to do that anymore if they were doing it to begin with, not saying that they were. But if there is this treatment for rheumatoid arthritis that has the same effect on blood, on older blood, that would be a really incredible thing. One thing that I want to work on this year is I want to attack and do things that will give me a better life and a longer life. That's one thing that I am personally working on. If you can have any habit, if you got a habit that may help you have a better life where you're in less pain and live longer, that's probably a better habit than a lot of habits that people have. So this is really interesting news. It just came out this week. As always, I leave a link to every single article that I do in the description of the video. So if there's something that interests you, you can go check out the source for yourself and then leave a comment and tell me I'm wrong, which is totally fine. But that's all I have today. I will be addressing all of your comments after the outro. And to everyone else, have an awesome weekend. I'll see you on Monday for a brand new show. Peace. Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm going to get to all of your comments here. Just checking. I think I put this up on Twitter, and I was just going to see if anyone replied to it so I could give them a shout out. Let's see. Not sure about that. Okay. There we go. Okay. But first up, hey, look at this. We got 3 people that hooked me up today over on Rumble. I love Rumble. Look, Duggo hit me up with a 5 spot. All right, Fact Check Friday. Gonzo the Good hit me up with $5. Thank you, Gonzo the Good. Should be Gonzo the Great. And Tobias was here, hit me up with $5. Expose the smearmongers. I agree. USA Today equals fake news. USA Today has become the National Enquirer of the 80s. And what's interesting is the National Enquirer seems to have become better. They don't have as much alien stuff. They sometimes do have some good reporting. So thanks everybody over on Rumble that hooked me up. That's cool. Odyssey, yesterday we had a comment, but nothing today. That's okay. I'm gonna nothing on Twitter and on what's the this is Twitch. Let's see. Oh, we got a couple people over there with some fun emojis, and Rev is there for the first time. What's up, Rev? Apothecary John making his presence on all the platforms. I appreciate that. But let's get to the YouTube chat. Oh man, look at all this good chat. I appreciate that. You know, one of the things it really touches my heart when I look and the show hasn't even started yet, and I got a couple likes. That's pretty cool. Congrats on making it here for the live, everyone. Good. Hello, Tom and Coffee fans. Thank you. What's up, Miranda? What's up, Diet Sprite? Matthew Adams. Nice. Good to see you. N-Man, is the robot voice intentional? I think earlier, right, if I understand correctly, there was a little thing happening with the voice. I hope it got fixed after I moved my headphones. Perhaps that was giving some interference. I'm going to have to go back and look and figure out what the heck that was. Can't hear video. Ugh. So the video was too low in the mix. That sucks, and it looks like right now we're not getting enough. The video may get paused right now, too. Also. So that sucks, but I will, again, keep working on that and try to figure it out. Does the corporate media distort claims they fact check? Why do they do it? Look, with Kari Lake in particular, it's one of those things that if you don't look into someone, and there's so much negativity around them, it's really easy to just buy that narrative that they're garbage, right? I know that I was tricked about that with Matt Gaetz. I've gone my whole life kind of not thinking highly of a lot of Republicans, just based on the bubble that I grew up in, right? But Matt Gaetz, there was a bunch of negative stuff about him, and I just like, oh, he's probably a bag of garbage. I don't know. But I never looked into it. And then I finally saw him on an interview talk about things and discuss his point of view. And I was like, wow, they got me, you know? And that's the thing to avoid cognitive dissonance is if you get fooled, right? There's two ways to react if you get fooled, okay? One reaction is, oh, that's not true, and become defensive and not listen to it if it turns out you might be wrong. The other way, and this is my suggestion for you, is if you find out that you might have been fooled about something, laugh about it. You go, oh man, they got me. Oh, I can't believe they got me on that. Turn it into a positive, turn it into a learning experience. And if you laugh about it, you won't be so defensive and you'll actually be more open to the truth. Okay? So that's a thing with that. Someone likes a pizza, Costco pizza. I think I might be going to Costco this afternoon. 50 likes and the whole class gets a pizza party. Man, I would love 50 likes. Still haven't got 50 likes yet on a single video this calendar year, but that's okay. We'll get there. In politics is not a bug, it is a feature by design. Oh, ambiguity in politics is not a bug, it's a feature. That's true. But in this case, you know, with the USA Today, it's so clear to me. And, you know, why I like doing these fact checks is I don't care if I'm right. I really don't. I'm not hung up on it. What I like is understanding why I got fooled or how someone is fooling someone else. I've always been kind of really obsessed with, you know, heists and con men and things like that. So the whole, you know, just the psychology of how you manipulate people has always been interesting to me, whether it be a tent revival or a pro wrestling show or a carnival. That's always been interesting to me. And so we can add fact checkers to that as well. School was the only place I ever got square pizza. Yeah, square pizza. I couldn't eat the pizza at school, like that little rectangular pizza with no crust. Oh, that was the worst. Says, I need Starlink. I live in the middle of nowhere. So lucid moments of reality 5150. That's a good name. I like that. Yeah, well, my friend Josh has Starlink, and apparently he can't use it on his apartment. They won't let him attach it to the building. So he offered it to me. I have a house, so I can put it up. And so hopefully we can get the Starlink, and hopefully that will mean that the stream will be stronger and better in the future when I get that going. So we'll see. We'll see. I haven't been to a theater in 10 years or so, says Lucid Moments of Reality 5150. I'm trying to think of the last one I went to. I go to foreign films and like art films and stuff like that, but those are typically not in the big traditional movie theaters. Those are in smaller theaters. And I'm trying to think of the last big one I saw. I know I went to the original Black Panther movie, the first one. I think that was the last big movie I saw in a theater. Yeah. Worst part of the infrastructure was paid for with tax subsidies, and then they gouge you and give crap service. Yeah, that's true. That is Sumo Nijro. I'm going to say it that way. I'm not sure how to say everyone's name here. Miranda K says, in my little city, we can get it from the phone company or cable too. Yeah, there are lots of places. Here in Portland, if you're not in the city proper, you can get all kinds of services that are available. But I can only get Comcast. That's it. I've been to the theater to see The Interview. Oh, The Interview. That was pretty good. The crazier it sounds, it usually is correct. Real life is stranger than fiction. It is. Absolutely. Cops arrived late again. Oh, oops, arrived late again. From Doug. Well, good to see you, Doug. I guess the cops arrived late too, right? I don't use Twitter. Yeah, but Elvis was an alien. Yeah, a lot of people don't use Twitter. I don't really get Twitter. I have Twitter because I can use it to communicate with people. And sometimes I have actually been able to communicate with larger YouTube channels and things like that via Twitter. And if I didn't have Twitter, I wouldn't be able to contact them because that's how a lot of people communicate. But I don't get it. To me, it's a little too confusing. For shame, Mr. Coffee, you should hate both parties equally. Oh, to be fair, I do. I do. I'm just acknowledging my own bias in the environment that I was raised. That's how I viewed the world because up until, recently, like the last decade, I didn't really pay attention to most of the news. And so I probably just took in things the way everyone else does, uncritically. So shame on me, but eventually I figured it out. I watch Coffee Nuance often with my partner, but never on my own device. Realized my like was missing this whole time. Oh, well, thank you, Amanda. You can always go on your own device and hit the like. That would be cool. So that's cool. Enjoy it while it lasts. Yeah, so that's all we got. We still got a couple people here. Thanks for watching to the end of the show. Let me know whatever you want, But I did want to add that the thing that I really do like about Fact Check Friday is to figure out how the media can trick you. I think that that's fun. And once you get into it, once you start realizing the tricks, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And that's why for me, it's so easy. I can just look at the headline, look at the claim, and I can just see it. The first thing, before I get to anything else, is the claim that they're saying, that the fact checkers are saying, is that the same claim that the person is saying? And I think that's what I really enjoy about fact checking is figuring out the tricks. I like figuring out new stuff, and I think you all do as well if you like my channel. So that's it. I love your show. Thank you, dbrown83. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. Yesterday we had like 10 people that were watching all at the same time, and it looks like today, what did we get up to? 14 people were watching at the same time. So that's some pretty good growth. As always, well, Boy, I didn't even do it today. Let's do it. 50 likes. But I hope you all have an awesome weekend. And yeah, you all mean a lot more to me than you realize. Peace.